Hey mamas, it's Kristen Noel, founder of the Intuitive Divorce, and I'm popping on here today with my beautiful team member, Joe Young, masterful coach. We just got out of a really, really powerful class, and we just wanted to share some after class musings because this stuff is good. And today we decided to tackle the big T word, triggers. And there's a quote I just want to read that we brought in to class, which was, when we're in the exploration of our triggers or dealing with them, we're trying to unpack this or figure out what the hell we're supposed to do with them. I want you to hold this thought. This is not about going into the story of the trigger, but about recognizing your response to it. It's not about the story, not the whole thing we like to say, like, well, this happened because he did this and he did that and blah, blah, blah. It's like, let's not go into the whole story. But let's recognize and start with your response to it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place to start. Beautiful place to start. And I loved class today because we're really helping these mamas understand that triggers are showing up for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And we're so annoyed by them and we don't want them and we try to avoid them and all the things, but they are here for us. They're not actually happening to us. So I would love if you shared, Kristen, what your teaching on that was today around what they're here for.
Well, I mean, first of all, it's really about, it's my favorite word, reframe, right? But it's just, I think we all come into this life, and whether relationship or marriage or whatever it is, and we just don't want to feel the discomfort. And if we feel discomfort or we feel a feeling that we don't want to be feeling, it's something that we've got to get rid of. Something that we've got to shove someplace, or we've got to pretend, or we've got to put on a facade, or as opposed to really understanding that the trigger is a teacher. And it's really got something to impart, right? So like, it's this learning to use it, to harness its power. I think one of the mamas in the group said today something about my intuition's triggering me. And I was like, girl, your intuition isn't triggering you. Your intuition's talking to you. Your intuition is your best friend. Your intuition is like, hey, I'm here. I got something to say. I'm not going away. I'll keep trying to get your attention until you say it, because I love you, because I want more for you, because I want you to be your best self, because I want you to have peace and ease and joy. And I want you to feel alive and be inspired and be creative. So obviously, divorce is a treasure trove, a breeding ground for triggers. So easy to get triggered. But it's like, okay, I'm not saying don't get triggered. I'm saying pay attention to it. So I think we just started out by saying, number one, just be aware. And you know what? When you get triggered, it's like, don't immediately jump in. Don't immediately start screaming. Don't immediately. We all have our knee-jerk reactions.
Right.
But it's like, it's that quiet exploration of like, what's going on underneath? What's going on underneath the surface? What is it trying to tell me? And I literally said, hey, you know what? You can actually have fun with it. Yes, I dare to say have fun with a trigger, but it's like, step back and just talk to yourself. Like, ask it like, all right, you're here. What do you got? What do you got for me? What do you want me to see?
Yeah. Why are you showing up? Because
Why are
nothing
you
shows
showing
up
up?
by mistake.
Right.
And
Why are you showing
so-
up, and what do you have to
Yeah.
teach me?
Yeah, I love that. And I love the reminder that the way that our minds are wired and we are as humans is that we go into an automatic response. And so when something shows up that makes us uncomfortable, we're automatically going to react.
Mm-hmm.
And what we want to do is get out of the reaction and get into the empowered response. And so there's a process to do that in order to take whatever's happening and to break it down, not to avoid it, because it's just going to get louder.
Right.
We had mamas today say, I don't understand. I used to be able to deal with all these small triggers and not really have too much of a response to them. And now I can't contain it. Like I find myself just flying off the handle and over responding almost. And it's like, yeah, because guess what happens when you don't listen, when it's quietly trying to get your attention, when it's a little trigger trying to get your attention, we push those aside and push them down and ignore them. And then the trigger goes, oh, I have to get louder in order to be heard and be acknowledged. And so, of course, it's going to get louder. And of course, your response is going to get greater because you're not just responding to that one little trigger anymore. You're responding to the decades that you haven't allowed yourself to respond adequately each and every time things come up. So it's such a life skill. And yes,
Yeah.
divorce in particular, but such a life skill to be able
Well, and
to
also it's because you're getting,
deal with what's happening.
you can really get caught in that spin cycle.
Yeah.
Right. And so
Mhm.
when you take that pause, as Joe likes to say, be the calmest woman in the room. When you take that pause, like no matter what's coming up, and you give it breath to ask it, okay, what is it here to show me? What is it here to say to me? Maybe I need to have a difficult conversation. Maybe I need to set a boundary. Maybe I need to step out of something. You're going to hear your answers. You may not like your answers, but you're going to hear your answers. And this is like the first way that we just start really listening to our intuition, aligning with what's calling to us, because the old way is not serving us. And a lot of times moms are triggered. They feel like they're triggered. It's on steroids because they've abandoned themselves for so long but when they get to the point when they're standing and they're saying, I want a divorce, they want it out yesterday, but there's still a process. So it's like, have some grace. Have some grace for yourself. You have grace for everyone else, your kids, your family, your coworkers. Got to have grace for yourself.
Yeah. So, of course, we ignore something, it's going to get louder to get our attention. And it is showing up for a reason. And it doesn't want to be ignored anymore. And our intuition is going to continually give us the messages that we need. So, being able to take a moment, take a breath, and go, okay, non-judgmentally, wow, isn't it interesting that this is showing up for me? That needs to be the first response. Isn't it interesting? And then you pay attention and you make it safe in your body. You feel whatever's coming up. And then you can actually look at it in a calm, empowered, intelligent way and go, what is this here to show me? What is it here to teach me? Where is there an unmet need or a conversation that needs to happen or a boundary that needs to be set, to your point? Like, what is it that's actually trying to get my attention here? And so Kristen and I laugh all the time because we say, triggers coming up for you? Great. Bring them on. Like these are your opportunities for growth and expansion and to move yourself forward. Get you out of that feeling of being stuck, because we're not stuck.
But by the way, it just means you're ready.
You're ready.
You are ready. We do it, but you're ready. The line that I started with is what I really want to go back to about story, because Joe, you're really great about always reminding us and interrupting the story, because we get like, we play a reel in our head. Well, I get triggered when he does it, and we just kept saying, okay, time out, got that. But let's just go into, I'm triggered because, let's get to the you part of it. What's underneath the anger? What's underneath the venom? What's underneath the explosion that's about to happen? It's a wound. I'm invisible. I'm unseen. I'm whatever it is for you. We just kind of kept interrupting and kind of like just helping them dig deeper, dig deeper, dig deeper. And it's like all of a sudden a light bulb pops. And it's like, you're like, ah.
Yeah. Well, think about it. It makes total sense. You know, you've been living in and with a marriage that is unhealthy, or you wouldn't be here, right? So you've got resentments and things built up. And a lot of times those resentments haven't had a voice. And so it's natural for us to want to go into, if he would just do this, or this is what he's always done, or this is how he makes me feel, or if he would just hold my boundary. What we give our power away when we do that, instead of going, okay, we can't control what anybody else does. So what is it about you? And it's always interesting to me when we first introduce this concept especially with some of our newer mamas, around we're going to stop the story. We hear you. You're seen here. You're safe here. We're here for you, but we've heard you. And now, what are you going to do with that? How is it impacting you? What is your part in this? Where do you get to take the power back?
What is
Right?
your story? What is your
Yeah.
story? Not the other
Yeah.
story, right? And so this is also why I love this work in this program so much, because people always think divorce is just about, listen, we've got to divide the assets. We've got to like come up with a settlement. We've got to make a co-parenting plan. And guess what? All of that is true. But you know what's at the core of it? You and the condition that you're in as you're making those big decisions. And you know what's going to happen in there? There's a lot of gaps. There's a lot of in-between moments, and the triggers are going to come, and the emotions are going to come, and the vulnerability is going to come, and you might find yourself on the spin cycle. So it is so important to take care of yourself and to nurture yourself and to allow what's coming up to come up, and to realize that instead of like feeling like I'm failing, how about instead reframing that and saying, I'm feeling my way through probably the most difficult moment of my life. And
I'm gonna put an addition onto that. I'm feeling through the most important transition in my life in order to become the person that I'm meant to become. That's the piece that you stay focused on.
Right.
This is just the journey to get you there.
We just sit in the most beautiful place. We're looking at a screen full of mamas, and they're in all different places in their divorce process. And today, just for example, we had a new mama enter into the group, and we had to let go of another mama. It was time she graduated. And it's so wonderful to see what happens in that group, because the bottom line is, it doesn't really matter what the details of your divorce are, because we share so many of the same feelings, vulnerabilities, emotions, experiences, and the reflection of this sacred space is incredibly transformational and incredibly powerful and incredibly nurturing and incredibly loving. And what you need while you're going through this is to be seen and heard and validated and supported. And as someone else said, I just need scaffolding around me. And it's such a beautiful way, right? Like, I just think the scaffolding are our big mama bear arms, right?
That's right. That's right. And all the tools that they're learning week after week after week, because they're building their own scaffolding. And that's the beautiful piece to be able to witness from start to finish today.
Right.
We had such a beautiful real life example of that, of someone talking about where she began and where she is today. And it doesn't mean that you never get triggered again. It doesn't mean that there aren't any bumps in the road. That's life. That's being human. But man, you're going out there so much better prepared than you were. And you have been carried through this journey and supported and loved and heard and seen and all the things that are so important. And so that is really the magic of this group, is being able to witness them hold each other, and then for us coaches to be able to really help get underneath what's actually happening. And the combination of the two it's magic. It really is.
And we say it over and over again. These are not divorce. These aren't just divorce tools. These are life tools, life skills. Yeah. It really transforms how you experience life. And it's ups, it's downs, it's all arounds. A class on triggers is for anyone, honestly, not just for moms going through divorce. It's just a beautiful reminder that you matter in this equation, and you are worthy of asking for support and help and leaning in. What was the one thing that one of the mamas left in the comments before we got out? It was about asking for help.
Yeah. Heard, helped, hugged. Right. So what is it that you need? Do you need to be heard? Do you need help? Or do you just need a hug? And we're here for all of it. And that's the beautiful piece of it. And learning how to even decipher what it is that you do need. That is another one of the most vital things we talked about today, really, was showing up. And instead of getting wrapped into the story, what is the story informing about what it is that you need? And can you name it? Because when you can name it, then you can do something about it. And you don't stay caught in that cycle. So
This is
so
what it
many
all
gold
boils down
nuggets
to.
today.
It all boils down to answering one single question in any single moment. What do I need?
Yeah.
What do I need? It's something we don't really lean in and ask ourselves very often. What do you need? And when you start to lean into that and really lean into that, this is where things start to change.
And if what you need is support and scaffolding and love and all of that, and a safe space to be heard and witnessed, that's what we're here for.
Absolutely. That was so great. Well, thank you for popping on with me after our class. These classes are just amazing.
Yeah, incredible.
Really, really powerful. So I just am so happy that we can join you here and we're going to stay committed to doing this. We've got some exciting things coming soon because we really just want to show up and support as many of you as possible because we know what's possible. So please stay connected to us here. You can reach out to us and leave us messages. We are checking all the time. You can check out our work at intuitivedivorce.com. There's tons of great resources there. Check out our newsletter, our podcast, constant edition, constant ways of connecting and supporting you on this very difficult moment in your life. And just know that we're grateful that you're here.
Yeah. Sending you love.